Alright, hi guys, welcome back to the Microsoft Excel Foundation tutorial, and my name remains Jimo. So in case you missed the last video, I would like you to take a minute to go back and watch it. We talked about Excel selection techniques and this whole bunch of stuff here. And in case you joined the last video, I want you to open this sheet that you did, and because in this video we won't be creating any new workbook, we'll have to be working inside this workbook, but we'll be creating sheets. So I'll also be showing you how to do that, and let's get to it. Alright, so I'll go ahead to create a new sheet here. Click on this plus button here and you create a new sheet. Alright, so this was for class 02, our last class. So I'll right click on sheet 1 and I'll rename this to class 02, and I'll click on this and rename this to class 03. So we'll be working inside class 03, and when we have class 04 we'll be doing so continuously. Alright, so since we have class 02 and class 03 here, we don't need to call this workbook class 02 anymore. So we are going to go and save this as a different name. So I'll click on my file and click on save as. Then I have a folder here. Look for the folder where you want to save yours. I have a folder called tutorials here, so I'll take mine to this place, and then I can come in here and call it, just give it a general name. We can call it MS underscore Excel, and I'll just add workbook to my own. You don't have to do that. You don't have to add workbook to yours. You can give it a different name entirely, and then I'll click on save. And here we have a new name for this workbook, and we have class 01 and class 02, sorry, and class 03. We don't have a class 01 because our class 01 was basically introduction. And the first thing I would like to do is to have this nice stuff here that shows us the topic for today. I want to have it here, so I'll just go ahead and grab this one instead of creating a new one inside here. I'll go ahead and grab this, click it, then copy it from here. Then I want to paste it somewhere around here, and I'll click here and I'll do Ctrl V or click on the paste button above. Ctrl V will paste it for me here. Alright, so I'll go ahead and rename this. So I'll be renaming this. I can rename directly from here, or I can just click on it and edit it on the formula bar here. Cell referencing, autofill, sort and filter, search and replace. That's what we'll be looking at today. So I'll click on enter, and here we have it. Alright, so we'll be working on this section here, alright, as usual, just like we did in class 02. And I'll go ahead and pause this video and quickly add content here. Then by the time I come back, you can pause the video and add your content here as well. Alright, so this is the content I have. You can pause your video and quickly do this. And in case you're wondering how I did all this styling, you can watch my first two videos and you have an understanding of how this styling came about and how this spacing came about. Alright, so we won't go into that in this video. In the last video I showed you how to do autofill, but in this video I want to show you autofill like in a little bit more detail. And first I want to say this is like a sample data that we have. Let's say we want to have more products here, right? And take note that this product ID follows like a pattern. This AED 101, this AED 104. That means the next one should be like this. There's like a difference of 3 in between. The next one should be like AED 107. All right. So here's where autofill can help us. Instead of typing like manually having to type the product IDs, let's say we have like 100 or 1,000 products, having to type AED 107, AED 110, AED 113. You can just use autofill here and select the first two. So by selecting these first two cells, you're already trying to give Excel the idea that there's a pattern going on here. Alright, so you select these first two, then you look for this green dot here. Alright, there's this green box here, you can see it here, this green box here. Alright, move your mouse till it turns to a thin cross like this, a thin black cross like this. This is a white cross, a thin black cross like this on the green box. Then left click and drag down. You can keep dragging down to where you want to stop. And if I stop here, you notice that the pattern is continuous on 107, 110, 113, 116, each with a difference of 3. All right, so this will be very helpful in case you are creating IDs that follow a particular pattern. Just select any two of the IDs in that pattern, then drag down and it will follow that pattern. Similarly, I can demonstrate that for quantity. This was increasing pattern of 3s. Now notice that there's a pattern here. There may not be a pattern, but I just created this so that I can illustrate to you how to use autofill in a more advanced way. All right, so this could just be a coincidence that this is 38 and this is 37, but if your quantity is going to be decreasing for each product that you enter, what you can simply do here is instead of typing 36 here, 35 here, for each of these products you're going to enter here, you can just simply select these two. Selecting these two means that you are trying to make Excel identify the pattern here. Then you move your mouse or your cursor to the green box here till your cursor turns to a thin black cross here. Then left click and drag down. Let's drag down to the same place. Notice that it follows a decreasing order: 36, 35, 34. So this is the power of autofill, which I call the Excel magic. Also, I'll quickly like to highlight that autofill is not only for numbers, it can also be used for tests like this. I can click on carpet socks here and drag down and everything becomes carpet socks. I will undo that. Or I can select gold wristwatch and carpet socks and click on the small green box there and drag down, and you notice it will be alternating between gold wristwatch, carpet socks, and so on. So you can use autofill for text as well as for numbers. So I'll go ahead and undo everything I've done. And finally, for autofill, I want to also show you that you don't have to do this separately or do this separately to drag down or do this separately. You can select everything, just highlight everything, drag and select everything, then click on the green dot and drag down, and Excel is intelligent enough to know that it is to perform an autofill for you. So if I drag down to somewhere here, notice that this follows the increasing pattern of 3s, this follows the decreasing pattern of 1, decreasing by 1, this follows the alternating pattern of gold wristwatch and carpet socks. So I'll just undo everything back. And again, I would like to say this about autofill as well. You can also drag to the side, not just downwards. Let's say you want to replicate these cells, almost like a copy and a paste thing. You can click on this green box. Instead of dragging downwards this time, you can drag sideways, and you notice the effect here. You notice that it begins to replicate each of these cells, each of these columns rather. You notice the column for the product ID is now here, the column for the product name is here, the quantity is here. Then once it's done with the last one, it starts again, product ID, and so on. So you can use autofill in several ways. I won't do that. All right, so we'll just quickly have like a few cells with the autofill function. So I'll just drag this down and drag this down again, so we have like this. So I'll go ahead and rename this to silver wristwatch, so we have a different content here. I'll call here silver wristwatch, then I'll call here carpet shoes. All right, so the next thing I want to show you is how to reference cells. All right, in Excel there are two types of cell referencing. The first one is called relative referencing, and the second one is absolute referencing. All right, we'll start with the relative referencing. So let's say I want this product code column here to display exactly the product ID. Okay, so we're going to do that by coming here, you click on the cell and the product code, and I'll start by entering an equal to sign here. Then the next thing I'm going to do is to click on the cell on the product ID here. This is G4. I'll click on G4 so it becomes equal to G4. Then I'll press the enter button on my keyboard, and notice how it takes the content of the product ID directly into this place. All right, so if I go ahead and change this from AED 101 to, let's say, AED 102, and I click on enter, here becomes AED 102. So these cells are now tied together, as you can notice. So I'll go ahead and undo that. Alright, so the concept of cell referencing is that you want whatever is displaying here to appear here. There may be some cases where this may be very applicable. Let's say you have some data in a particular cell and you want to make it available to other cells for easy access. That could be one scenario where you may want to use cell referencing. Or you have something from this another sheet here. Let's say you want to make these names available from class 02 sheet, make it available on the class 03 sheet. You can easily use this cell referencing to do that. All right, so we'll get into that very soon. So we just performed the basic cell referencing where we had to reference this cell G4 in cell J4, right? So I can go ahead and do for the rest. I can do equal to here and reference this as well and click on my enter button, and it's the same. I'll have the same content I have on cell G5 here on J5. So I'll go ahead and undo that. I want to show you a better method to do that. So now that I've done for J4, which is referencing from here, all right, what I can do is to still use this autofill like I showed you before to drag down. And when I'm dragging down, automatically it's going to reference this here, it's going to reference this here, and it's going to reference this here. So autofill is very useful even when it comes to cell referencing. So I'll just click on this box here and I'll drag down here. So notice that it picks AED 101, AED 104, 107, just the same way this one is. And to confirm that this is referencing, if I click here, notice it is equals to G5, which is this. All right, if I click on this one here, you notice that it says equals to G6, and that means it's referencing cell G6, and this is cell G6. All right, so and it's the same data. And if I click here, it's referencing cell G7, and it's the same data here, that is G7. All right, the second type of cell referencing is the absolute cell referencing, and what it means is that it references absolutely to that cell. So whatever cell you referenced using the absolute reference method, it stays on that particular cell. So whether you use the autofill to drag down or to drag anywhere, the value you get on each of those cells is that particular cell that you reference it to. All right, so whereas the relative cell referencing, once you reference this particular cell to here, when you drag down, each of the new cells reference to the next one, each of the new ones reference to the next one. Okay, so we're going to look at both of them, and I'm going to create something here. I'm going to create a new column here. I'm going to name a new column rather, and I'll call this, let's say first product. So let's call this first P. Let's just call it first P, means first product. So what we want to do here is to reference every cell here to the very first product. Okay, so this cell will show us how to perform absolute referencing, whereas this one will show us how to perform relative referencing. All right, so let me go ahead and delete everything we have here so we can look at both of them. So this product code is going to be relatively referenced to the cells here, while this one is going to be absolutely referenced to the cell here, this particular cell here. All right, so for product code, let's begin with cell. Let's do the relative cell referencing again. So I said you click on equal to, then you click on the cell you want to reference it to here, then you click on enter. All right, now we have this. So by the time I drag this down, the autofill down, you notice that each of these cells is now referencing each of these cells in the particular order here. All right, but for absolute referencing, this is what I'll need to do. Remember that this is first P, means every other column here should be referenced to just this first product here. If it's maybe I say second product, it may just be tying it here. All right, so what here we are going to reference it to the very first product ID here. So I'll do equal to, and I'll click on this. So it's the same thing I did for relative referencing, except that instead of clicking, before I click enter, I will have to add a $sign here. Just move my mouse to the formula bar here and add the $sign here to the back of the column, that's the column G, and add the $sign to the same position. So the $sign is before the column and $sign is before the row number. So the dollar sign before the column, the dollar sign before the row number. So you have dollar column name, dollar row. Whereas in relative, there is no dollar. Relative is just like this. Relative is just like this. But in absolute, you add a dollar here and then you add the dollar sign here. Let's do that again, add the dollar sign here. So once we have this, I can go ahead and click enter, and notice it still picks the same thing just like the relative. But see what happens when I drag down. When I click here and I drag down here, notice that it is only referencing the product ID, the first product ID. So even if I keep dragging this down wherever, it will continuously reference the first one because it is absolutely referenced to this particular cell. Right, so that's the difference between absolute referencing and relative cell referencing. I'll do that. So with the way it referenced, if I ever change the value here to, let's say, something like 100, notice it will affect this and affect everything here. All right, so I'll take that back. So this concept of cell referencing, we'll get to see it in subsequent videos when we start talking about formulas. All right, in this Microsoft Excel Foundation tutorial videos, and in our Microsoft Excel advanced videos as well, when we really deal and go further into formulas. So the next thing I want to show you is how to reference a cell from maybe another sheet, or if you have another sheet here, you can just reference it. All right, so we'll do this quickly. Let's say we have a column here called first name, or let's just say name. All right, let's just call it name. Okay, so how do we do this? I want to bring in like the first 4 names here. So what I simply do is the same equal to here. Now move your mouse and click on the sheet, then click on the first name here, then notice what happens here. All right, it picks the sheet name, then puts an exclamation mark there, then puts the cell address there after it. So I'm just going to hit enter. I'll hit enter here, and notice that this name Blessing is now here. So if I use the autofill here to drag down, it will pick all the first 4 names there: Blessing, James, Jimo, and Victoria. Let's confirm. Blessing, James, Jimo, and Victoria. So if I go ahead here, for example, and change this to Jane, let's say this is now Jane, and I go back here, notice it is now Jane here. So this sheet here is tied to this particular one. The sheet in class O2 is now tied to this. So I'll just go ahead and undo this. I just want to show you how this is done quickly. All right, so I'll just go ahead and undo everything I've done here. All right, so the next thing I would like to show you is how to perform sort and filter. All right, we'll begin by looking at sorting. Let's say we have a large data here and want to sort by product name. So I'll go ahead and click on product name, then ensure that your home is selected. Then if you look at the far right, you see the sort and filter drop down here. Click on it. Then you can sort either A to Z or Z to A. So A to Z is from the smallest number, that's the first alphabet to the last alphabet, from A to Z. All right, so this is from Z to A. So if I click A to Z here, notice that it's arranged carpet, gold, silver, and every other thing here is adjusted to match the way it was before. All right, so if I undo that, look at what happens. All right, so I can go ahead there, click on this back, and go back and perform Z to A. Silver wristwatch is S, G, C, C. All right, it's arranged the other way around. I'll take that back. So if I go to quantity, I want to arrange these numbers, and I can come here and sort A to Z, or if you look at under, you see lowest to highest. So I can sort from the lowest number to the highest number. So 35 comes first, down to 38. And if I come back here and I do Z to A, 38 before 35. So you can sort any of these columns just by coming here and performing any of these. So there's something called a custom sort, where you can combine how you want these items to be sorted. Let me just undo this back to the way it was back, so I can show you how the custom sort works. Is, let's say you have a large number of information where let's say some of these products have the same names, and then you want to sort by product name, Now by the time you sort by product name and you have things like good wristwatch, and let's just go ahead and do it. Let me show you what I mean. Alright, so I've gone ahead to change the second value here to gold wristwatch, so you can get an idea of what I'm trying to say about the custom sort. So let's say I want to sort this. I want to sort this from Z to A, that's in descending order. Then I want to sort this in ascending order. So if I perform a random sort, I may get something like this. If I decide to perform the normal sort that you know, Z to A, notice I got good wristwatch as number 2, good wristwatch as number 3, but here was 38 and here was 37. But what I want to achieve is that I want this 37 to be sorted before the 38 for both the good wristwatch. All right, so what I can do here, let me undo that. What I can do here is to come here and go to sort and filter, then perform a custom sort. Then I want to sort by product name first, so it arrange this one from Z to A. Then I'll add a level. All right, so the next level I want to sort by quantity, and instead of performing descending order, now I want to sort from smallest to largest, so that for a gold wristwatch the 37 will come before the 38. So if I click on OK now, see what happens. It's sorted in descending order. This one is sorted first because that's the first level in descending order, S before GGC. Then actually when we did the initial sort we had 38 before 37, but because we specified this other condition we now have 37 before 38. So this is how you can manipulate custom sorts to get whatever you want to achieve. So I'll go ahead and take it back to how it was in the first place. All right, next thing I would like to show you here is how to perform a filter. What's a filter? A filter is trying to sieve out the unwanted information so that we can be left with just the information we need or the data we need. All right, let's say we have like a whole lot of data here. So what I'll just do is I will go ahead and just make this plenty, make this a lot, so that we can have like a lot of data here. Then the next thing I want to do here is that I want to filter out all the good wristwatch in this place. Like let's say this have this like a million data or something, and I just want to get out all the good wristwatch, all the rows that contains the good wristwatch. All right, so and that will be on the product name because that's where the good wristwatch is. So we'll come here to sort and filter, then we'll perform a filter here. Notice right now that how we have a drop down on each of the heading here. All right, so that means you can actually filter each of these if you want. So I'm interested in the product name. I'll click on this, come in here and perform test filter here. So I'll come in here and perform test filter, and I'll say equals what. You can do does not equal, that means it becomes a negative of what you want to do, or begins with, and you can experiment with each of these, but right now I want to do equal this. All right, so equals what? Good wristwatch. I want to give me everywhere where just I want to see all the information about good wristwatch. Then you take away the ones that doesn't contain good wristwatch. I'll click on OK here, and notice how the rest things I get is just a good wristwatch. And you're wondering why this has shrink. That's because the rows that are not equal to good wristwatch have been truncated. That has been hidden, actually not truncated, they've been hidden. So that's why part of those cells here that showed this has been hidden. All right, so to show it back, I can come in here and I'll clear filter from product name. All right, so let's say for quantity I want to perform a filter. I want to show every row that is less than, let's say 25, less than 25. Show all the quantity that are less than 25. So I'll come here and I may just want to do number filter here, and I'll do less than what? 25. So I'll just put it 25 here, and then ensure that this is less than. You can combine your conditions if you want to, but that's not what we're interested in. You can try this out later in your spare time and play with all the parameters here and see what it gives you. But for this example, we want to see all the rows that the quantity is less than 25. I'll click OK here, and notice that it gives me everything less than 25 here. So I have this, I have that, and all these are less than 25. All right, so I'll go ahead and clear filter from here. So you can go ahead and try performing filter on each of these and see how it works. All right, so the last thing I'd like to show in this video is how to perform a find and replace. So forgive me, here is actually a find and replace, not search. It's called find and replace. All right, so a find and replace, and that's to find a content in any of these cells, then replace it. Let's say we have a lot of gold wristwatches here. All right, gold wristwatch with different product IDs. All right, so we want to replace all these gold wristwatch to gold wristwatches. All right, it's not a wristwatch, not just a single wristwatch, they are gold wristwatches. All right, we want to change the gold wristwatch to gold wristwatches. You may just come in here and start editing it manually, but imagine you have a million record. You don't want to do that. You can just simply come here and do your find. This will help you find whatever you are looking for, but we are more interested in the replace here. So let's say you want to find something and you don't want to replace it, you can simply do this. Let's say you want to replace, you can come here, then it will ask you what do you want to find. So here now I'm going to type in gold. All right, and be careful that if you want to replace the exact phrase gold wristwatch, you have to type it in full, gold wristwatch. All right, but if you are interested in replacing silver wristwatch as well to wristwatches, I will just get rid of the gold so that it picks every match of wristwatch from gold and from silver. So what I can do here is to find all to see what it finds, but this might take if you are working with so much data, this might not be what you want to do. But let's just click on it and see what it finds. It tells us it found 10 cells that contains the wristwatch. So we just want to click find next and look for each of them. Notice how this place is moving. It's showing us all the place where we have wristwatch that we want to replace. All right, so like I said, if you have a lot of data, you may not want to do this. You have to just be sure of what you're entering here, and then I will just go ahead and replace it with wristwatches, and I do wristwatches here. Then I'll replace all, and we've made 10 replacement. I'll click OK, and then I'll close this here. Then I'll just go ahead and see everything that's done perfectly. Yes, it's been done perfectly. All right, so I've just performed a find and replace right now, and this can be very helpful when you have like a large number of data and you want to perform a replace for some particular keywords or for some particular numbers, but you have to be very sure that whatever you are replacing doesn't replace something else that you don't want it to do. All right, so I want to encourage you to play with cell referencing, play with the autofill thing for numbers, for tests, for selected multiple highlighted cells. Just play with the autofill, play with sort and filter that we've just done. You can also do this, perform the sort from here as well, play with filters, play with find and replace. I'm going to give you an exercise to carry out, and when you do, please let me know how you were able to do it and some of the challenges you faced in the comments below. So for the next video, we'll be looking at number formatting. I know I talked about this at the beginning of the tutorials, the video 1. We'll be looking at it in details, how to format numbers and how to use the custom or the more number formats. I'll talk about each of this. I want you to go ahead and save this workbook because we'll be using the next sheet for the class 04. So the exercise I'll be leaving you with, I want you to create a separate workbook, then a new workbook, then enter in a serial number here, your name here, just put name here, serial number here. You can do that on anywhere here. It doesn't have to be under column G or H or whatever, but I need you to enter in serial number on one column, name on another column, age, then enter in number 1, then enter in your name, then enter in an age, then use the autofill to drag number 1 down to number 10, then enter in names for 5 persons, then highlight the 5 persons names, then use the autofill to drag it down to 10, then enter, now that you already entered in your age, enter in maybe another different age, not so close to the age you entered for yourself for the second person. Then select the 2 ages you've entered, then highlight, select both of them, then use the autofill button there to drag it down to number 10. All right, then once you're done, try and search for someone that you've entered and try and replace with another name. Then try and sort the age from smallest to largest. All right, then try and filter out the names that start from either letter A or letter B, so that you'll be left with names. Filter out names that begin with letter A or letter B, that begins with letter A or letter B, or that contains letter A or letter B, depending on what you want to do. Then so that you'll be left with names that don't contain those A or B in it. All right, so when you're done, try and clear the filter. Then let me know what you think in the comment box. If you had difficulties, you can always chat me up on my social media handle, send me a message, and you can leave your comments below, and I'll try as much as possible to respond to you. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We do a lot of tech stuff. You can like this video, share this video with your friends. All right, and see you in the next video.